The bombshell didn't explode at a press conference. It wasn't leaked by an insider or whispered through secret channels. Sophie Cunningham looked straight into her podcast microphone and spoke the words that Indiana Fever fans had feared the most. While discussing her contract situation, she didn't say this team. She didn't say, hopefully Indiana. She said, my next team. Those 3 words confirmed what many had suspected, but no one wanted to believe. Sophie Cunningham is leaving the Indiana Fever, and Caitlin Clark's fiercest protector is about to walk out the door. This isn't a rumor anymore. This is Sophie Cunningham telling us exactly what's happening, in her own words, on her own platform. And the implications for Caitlin Clark and the entire Fever franchise are massive, because what we're witnessing isn't just a roster change. It could be the unraveling of one of the most powerful partnerships in women's basketball. Let's be clear about what Sophie actually said, because the details matter. She wasn't being vague or diplomatic. She stated directly that she's looking for a multi-year deal from her next team so she can finally achieve financial stability and buy a home. Not from Indiana, not from the Fever, from her next team. That choice of words wasn't accidental. This is a player who has already mentally moved on, who now sees her future through a lens that no longer includes the organization she just had a transformative season with. If you believe the story behind the story matters, hit that like button, because what we're unpacking today goes far deeper than just one free agency decision. Where podcast co-hosts mentioned possible destinations like the New York Liberty. Sophie's answer sent shockwaves through the Fever community. It could be anywhere. Not, I want to stay in Indiana. Not, I hope we can work something out. She said, it could be anywhere. That's the sound of a player with 1 foot already out the door. Someone clearly explored what comes next. And here's what makes this even more explosive. Sophie Cunningham is now an unrestricted free agent. She has the freedom to sign with any team that offers her the contract she wants. And Indiana has absolutely no special rights to keep her. For weeks, many of you have sensed that something felt off about the situation. You noticed the subtle signals, the carefully worded social media posts, the way Sophie spoke about her recovery, and the absence of any firm commitment to return to Indianapolis. You weren't imagining it. Sophie wasn't just being private. She was preparing us for this moment. But here's where it gets even more complicated. Sophie's season was cut short by a torn MCL, a devastating knee injury, not some minor setback. It required surgery and months of intense rehabilitation. And while she's been posting positive updates about her recovery, the cold reality remains. Any team, including the Fever, has to seriously weigh the risk of offering a major, long-term deal to a 29-year-old player coming off major knee surgery. With no guaranteed timeline for a full return to elite form SO, here's the situation. We have a player who needs financial security, a player who has publicly announced she's looking elsewhere, and a player whose medical status raises real questions. For any team thinking about signing her, this is a perfect storm of complications, and it's all unfolding in real time. Now, let's talk about what Sophie Cunningham actually meant to this Indiana Fever team. Because to understand what's being lost, you have to understand everything she brought beyond the box score. Sophie wasn't just another role player. She was Caitlin Clark's enforcer, her protector, her confidant in the brutal, high-pressure world of professional basketball. When opponents got too physical with Caitlin, Sophie stepped in. When the team needed energy and intensity, Sophie delivered it. When someone had to set the defensive tone, Sophie did the dirty work. Their partnership was forged in the chaos of the 2024 season, a season that tested the Fever in ways no one saw coming. Both Caitlin and Sophie missed significant time with injuries. The team's depth was constantly tested. Their playoff hopes hung by a thread for months. Through it all, Sophie was a vocal heartbeat of the locker room, the emotional leader who wasn't afraid to get in someone's face to defend her superstar teammate. When you connect the dots, one thing becomes clear. Sophie's absence after her knee injury was a massive blow to the Fever's chemistry and performance. The team struggled not just without her play, but without her presence, the intangible leadership she brought every single night. She was a culture setter, the standard bearer, the player who defined what effort and accountability looked like on that roster, and her friendship with Caitlin Clark became something far deeper than an average teammate bond. You all saw it, the social media moments, the body language during games, the way they spoke about each other in interviews. Their connection became so strong that even controversial analysts like Skip Bayless felt the need to chime in, making baseless, offensive accusations that Sophie was using her friendship with Caitlin for popularity. That external pressure added another layer of complexity to an already complicated situation. Both players had to navigate not only the usual challenges of professional basketball, but also an unusual level of public scrutiny, the kind of spotlight few teammate relationships have ever faced. Every gesture was overanalyzed. Every post was dissected. Every interaction became content for debate and speculation. Now, that partnership appears to be ending, and the Indiana Fever's front office is facing a decision that could define the franchise for years to come. This is where the business side of basketball collides with loyalty and emotion. The Indiana Fever have one clear mission: to build a championship dynasty around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston, two generational talents who represent the future of the organization. Every roster spot matters. Every dollar of salary cap space will be scrutinized with that objective in mind. And that means the front office must confront a brutally cold question. Do they invest in a massive long-term contract for a beloved fan favorite recovering from major knee surgery, a player who will be 29 years old next season? Or do they let her walk and redirect those funds elsewhere? Drop a comment right now and tell us what you think the Fever should do. Should they pay Sophie whatever it takes to keep Caitlin protector? Or is this one of those hard, emotional decisions that championship teams simply have to make? Because this debate is tearing to the fan base, and everyone has an opinion. The financial realities of the WNBA make this decision even more painful. Unlike the NBA, where teams can exceed the salary cap to keep their own players, the WNBA operates under a hard cap, a system that forces tough, zero-sum choices. Signing one player to a big deal automatically means less money for everyone else. The Fever have to think beyond sentiment. They must consider other free agents, evaluate depth, and build a complete roster around their stars, not just surround them with expensive complementary pieces who may never fully return to form. Now, let's cut to the noise and focus on what Sophie is actually asking for. She wants a multi-year contract that gives her financial stability. She wants to buy a house. These are completely reasonable goals for any professional athlete, especially in a league where salaries don't come close to their male counterparts. But here's the truth. Sophie is entering the final stage of her career. She's coming off a devastating injury. She's a role player, not a superstar. No matter how beloved she is or how important her intangibles may be, reading between the lines of her podcast comments reveals a player who knows her market value might not align with what Indiana can or will offer. That's why she said it could be anywhere. She's preparing herself and her fans for the likelihood that she'll be suiting up for another team next season. And she's doing it on her own terms, controlling her narrative rather than letting rumors define her story. Make no mistake, multiple teams around the league would love to add a player with Sophie Cunningham's grit, leadership, and mentality. The Liberty, Aces, Sun, and other playoff contenders could all make persuasive offers, promising immediate championship contention, something the rebuilding Fever simply can't provide right now at this point in her career, with an uncertain recovery timeline. Sophie might decide it's time to chase a ring, not a rebuild. But let's talk about that torn MCL, because it's a wild card that changes everything. MCL injuries vary dramatically in severity and recovery. Some players bounce back quickly. Others struggle for months, even years, with issues in lateral movement, explosiveness, and confidence in a repaired knee. For a player like Sophie, whose game is built on defensive intensity, physicality, and versatility, even a small decline in lateral quickness could be career-defining. Teams interested in signing her will require extensive medical evaluations. Expect contract offers with team options, performance bonuses, and injury protections that limit financial risk. This reality factors into Sophie's mindset too. She might be willing to take a slightly smaller deal if it guarantees more years, a safety net in case her knee doesn't respond as hoped. Here's something most people aren't considering. The Fever's medical staff and training facilities are top tier. Sophie knows them. She's familiar with their doctors, rehab methods, and recovery process. That level of comfort and continuity has real value. But apparently, it's not enough to outweigh the other forces pulling her toward a new destination. The reaction from Fever fans has been emotional and deeply divided. Social media has erupted into passionate debates. Point one camp argues that loyalty matters, that Sophie has earned a big contract through her leadership, grit, and loyalty to Caitlin during a difficult rookie season. They warn that letting her go could damage team culture and possibly upset Caitlin herself. The other side takes a more analytical approach. They argue that emotion cannot dictate roster building. They point to Sophie's age, her injury history, and her status as a role player. With limited resources, they say, the Fever must focus on players who will be in their prime when the team's championship window opens, not those whose best years may already be behind them. And caught right in the middle of this storm, Caitlin Clark, she's remained publicly silent, almost certainly on the advice of her PR and management team, because no matter what she says, it'll be dissected if she pushes too hard for Sophie. It looks like she's pressuring the front office. If she doesn't speak up enough, it might look like she's betraying a friend. It's an impossible position for a young star, torn between loyalty and trust in her team's leadership. While it's speculative, sources around the league suggest Caitlin is privately devastated. Losing Sophie means losing her biggest protector on the court, her emotional anchor in the locker room, the teammate who always had her back. That kind of bond isn't easily replaced, no matter how talented the next signing might be. This situation has clear parallels across sports history. Teams constantly face the same dilemma, whether to retain the enforcer, the veteran leader, or the defensive specialist who supports the star. Sometimes, they make the cold decision to move on, trusting that the superstar will adjust. Other times, they choose continuity in relationships, even if it's not the best move on paper. What makes this story different is the public fascination with Clark, Cunningham friendship, a bond that transcended basketball and became a cultural storyline. Fans didn't just root for the team, they rooted for their connection. That's why this breakup feels personal to SO. Here's where things stand. Sophie Cunningham has, in essence, announced her departure through her own honest podcast comments. The Indiana Fever now face a franchise-defining decision, one that will reveal what they value most. Caitlin Clark is about to lose her fiercest ally and must trust that management knows what it's doing to IS, letting Caitlin protector walk away, a devastating mistake that could haunt this organization for years. Or is it the kind of tough, unemotional choice that every true contender must eventually make? The coming weeks will tell the story, but the implications go far beyond one roster spot. If you want to stay ahead of every major update in this developing saga, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Because when Sophie signs with her next team, we'll break down exactly what it means for Caitlin, the Fever, and the entire WNBA landscape. We'll also dig into who Indiana targets to replace Sophie's leadership and toughness. Trust us, you don't want to miss what's coming next. What happens next won't just decide Sophie Cunningham's future. It will define the Indiana Fever for years to come. The IT will signal to the entire league exactly what kind of organization they intend to be. For Sophie, it's about securing financial stability and one last meaningful contract. For Caitlin, it's about losing her closest ally and believing in the process. For fans, it's about hoping their team makes the right call at critical crossroads. This is the reality of professional sports. Relationships matter, loyalty matters, but so do winning and smart decision-making. How the Fever handles this moment will be studied and debated for years, no matter the outcome. And we'll be here to cover every single development, because this isn't just about contracts or stats. This is about the human drama that lives beneath the business of basketball. And that's exactly why we're all here.